Welcome to the Inspect Introduction to Social Media and Recruitment. Recruitment is a 5-step process about attracting, sourcing, engaging, screening and eventually closing the deal by making an offer and onboarding candidates and turning them into new employees. Across this 5-step process, social media can be used at all points. But before you can use social media for recruitment, you need to understand some of the principles of social media. Social media is based on web-based technologies designed for the dissemination of media through social interactions, basically sharing of content. It's about a dialogue, not a one-way broadcast, and it turns consumers of content into producers of content. Social media is based on the concept of openness and transparency and open participation by anybody, which results in the wisdom of crowds and eventually the development of communities. At Inspect, we see there's many different definitions of social recruiting, but these are our 4 attributes that we look at to define social recruiting. Social recruiting is the use of social tools to deliver high-quality candidates, because that's what recruitment is about. It's also about delivering meaningful content to candidates, building connections and conversations with candidates, and fundamentally engaging with candidates as people, not numbers. Social media has 4 C's: content, connection, collaboration, and conversation. Each of these 4 C's can be used as part of the recruitment process. You can develop content, you can connect with people through social networks, you can collaborate with people through maybe sharing of tags, and you can develop conversations on forums or on tools such as Facebook or Twitter. Social media is very large within Australia. In fact, 78% of all Australian adults use social technologies once a month. About 50% of all Australian adults maintain a profile on a social networking site. 64% consume some form of social media. And we also have about 65% of Australian adults creating or criticising different areas of content. And as you'd expect, certainly social media usage is higher in the younger generations, but it is also used in the older generations as well. Now, speaking of the younger generations, a recent survey by Grad Connection of 4,790 Australian graduates found that these graduates, or 72.46% of them to be exact, expected access to Facebook in the workplace. They also found that the next 4 tools, online tools, that graduates wanted access to were all to do with email and communication. When an organisation starts to move into social media from a recruitment point of view, they start in an unaware stage, and it's really a reactive mode. The idea here is to move gradually through the 7 stages from unaware to eventually engaging with communities in a methodical and structured way. This way you move from being reactive to being proactive, and at each step you increase the impact on your business operations and increase ROI. A social recruiting strategy is like any traditional strategy. You have to start with an assessment process. What do you want to do? What are you currently doing? Make sure you've got all the right resources. Do you need social media guidelines, for example? Define your business goals and your recruitment goals. Then the easy bit, so to speak, the execution and implementation. And then finally, the most important part, it's the analytics. Looking at what you're doing, the measuring and monitoring, and then so you can make tweaks and changes to your program as you go. Forrester Research did some work in 2008 and came up with some examples as ways of using social media as part of the recruitment process. By maybe attracting candidates through having hiring managers or recruiters engaging in social networks and answering questions. Could be using social networks to find potential candidates, or looking at information on social networks to make sure that your branding or your employment proposition meets the needs of your target candidates. Could also be allowing prospective employees to engage and connect with others within your organisation and allow them to evangelise and close the employment deal. Whatever you do with social media and recruitment, you need to make sure that it's delivering value to your business. Some of the benefits you can expect to receive are enhanced communication, cost-effective connections, engagement with candidates, increases in knowledge retention, and higher levels of productivity. Global consulting firm McKinsey found that 69% of businesses have gained measurable benefits from the use of Web 2.0 technologies. And in July of 2008, a survey of almost 440 business executives found that 81% agreed that it can build brand reputation. And employer branding is a critical part of recruitment. It also found that almost 70% felt that networking or social networking can be valuable in recruitment. Now, social media as a source of hire in Australia is still in its infancy. Only 35% of organisations have tried social media. And those that have tried have found LinkedIn and Facebook as the most effective sources. Now, this survey, the 2009 Source of Talent report, looked at about 100,000 hires from June 2008 to June 2009 and found that only 0.33% of those hires were made through social media. Now, that's an interesting figure because what it doesn't take into account is if an internal recruiter finds a candidate, say through LinkedIn, is that attributed as a social media hire or an internal recruiter hire? Certainly, usage of social media is highest amongst recruiters than direct employers. And smaller organisations use social media 3 times as often for hiring than larger organisations. As with anything in business, you need to measure it to make sure it's adding value. And with social media and recruitment, the first thing you need to measure are your traditional recruitment metrics. Now, time to place candidates, number of job orders, number of placements, etc. But you'll also want to measure web-based statistics and social statistics to make sure that your specific campaigns are delivering value. Getting started is easy. Get out there, reserve your usernames to protect your brand, develop a strategy and have clear objectives before you get going. Make sure you move in and not just visit. Like with email, spamming social media is the fastest way to ruin your reputation. You can add value to the audience by creating content and sharing information. These contributions will build trust and goodwill. Social media best practices are to be factual, speak in the first person, don't post when angry or in a hurry, make sure you treat others with respect, ensure you're adding value to your business, definitely avoid sarcasm and fights, and if you do make a mistake, acknowledge it quickly and make it right. In summary, social media is about transparency, relationships, and fundamentally the community. There are lots of different tools, but the principles are basically the same. Social media is a great tool to support recruiting. And just remember, think first, and remember that Google and other search engines will index everything you do. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and you can find out more at inspect.com.au.